and welcome to tonight's show, this afternoon's show, this morning's show, wherever you happen to be based in the world and catching it. This is Mapping It Out, the journey that we will be taking over the course of the next 2 years as we bring to life Project Deos. Now, if you don't know who Project Deos is or what Project Deos is, it is the ultimate map-making tool. It really is. It's going to be able to make everything from the solar system all the way down to continents, to regions, to cities, to buildings, basically even down to the actual pen and paper on the desk of someone in that building. It really, really is remarkable. Now, tonight, it's an hour-long show. We're going to be answering your questions, so please, we can only answer them if you ask them. That means putting the word question in front of your question. Put it in caps lock so I can see it nice, big and bold. And then I will pose it to the guest that I have on the show tonight. We're joined by someone who's no stranger to the show. We've got a few things to go through today, which I think are going to excite you. We will be looking at that interface, the UI interface that we promised you last month. It's been refined, remade, remodeled, reforged, and is hopefully going to be able to be shown to you today. We're going to look at that. We are going to meet one of the co-founders of Dungeon Fog and self-proclaimed reason why it exists, which I think is pretty awesome in a wonderfully humorous interview. So we're going to have a look at his story and how he got to be involved in it. And Till joins us for our monthly roundup and, as a matter of fact, our yearly roundup as well. We've got an announcement of a special competition which is going to benefit you and everybody else in the Deos community. And then, of course, finally, we're going to be doing a little bit of a tutorial on some elements of Dungeon Fog as we introduce this new idea into the show. So lots to get through, lots going on. I think that the script, I've got the script in front of me, it's like, oh, you've got to go to the video now. I want to introduce you to our guest first so that you know that he's sitting here in the studio with me. So, Till, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Everyone else, looking at the chat, let's see. Right, so everyone says, hello, Till. Hi, Till, says Miriam. Nyack says hello. Isaac A. Thorm says hello. Just everyone saying hello. Unfuzzleable says beep boop. So there we are.
Beep boop back.
Pomegasabel Coxy from Germany says moin from Germany. Ombreloup
Moin.
says hi from France. Is that bonjour? My French is terrible. It's about as bad as my German. Patrick Bluon says good morning. And so there we go. We got people from all over the world joining in and saying hello just to you, Till. So there we are. Right. So Till is in the studio with me. He is going to be answering your questions. There is no one better to answer your questions in terms of being one of the original founders. Till, we're going to go and meet somebody else who was part of the dastardly trio, was it, that originally started it?
Trio, yes.
Trio, yeah, absolutely. We're going to go meet one of these individuals. A video compiled by one of the newest staff members. So yes, let's have a look.
I'm Andreas Monica, and I'm programming the editor and everything that surrounds the editor.
That's not the right video. That's the wrong video. That's the old video. That's the video you saw last week. And although we do love Andy, let me play you the right one instead.
I'm kind of the reason why Dungeon Fog is as it is. I'm Thomas Schmidt. I'm responsible for the web frontend and the platform and the portal, basically. I'm born and raised in Vienna. I've lived there my entire life, and Vienna is a very special place because I believe that even the slogan of Vienna is different, and that's true in every single way. I'm co-founder I started at Till's company back in 2014. I kind of introduced pen and paper to us. My very first pen and paper I played was Warhammer Fantasy, with a friend of my brother-in-law, and it was just hilarious. It was so much fun, and since then I successfully spread the virus. Since we had troubles, or since Still had troubles making maps, we kind of started Dungeon Fog. That's how we started. And since I'm a web programmer, it's good because we need a website to be programmed. So a good programmer needs the ability to translate problems into algorithms or code, basically. In web, it's like once I get a design, I already check how I will do it in the end, because once someone tells me about a feature, I'm already thinking about how I'm able to implement it and what do I need to accomplish that task. I'm very excited about Project EOS because I'm curious to see how all our concepts will come together. I'm curious to see what the possibilities will be once it's finished. Or finished, yeah, in terms of, a program is never finished, so software isn't finished. It's evolving constantly, so I'm curious to see where it will take us. The way of how you're drawing maps will be revolutionized, kind of. I believe there are a lot of spots that can be tricky, but I also believe that with our current team it will be manageable and doable, because the team we searched to help us in realizing Project EOS is, I believe, very much capable of solving any of the issues that might come along. Some colleagues of mine are special.
Absolute chaos and craziness. There we go. So that's Thomas. Thomas Schmidt looks like he is an absolute riot in the office. Is he calm and collected?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, who else? Sorry. Yeah. He's calm and collected. He's a very nice guy. He's a very thoughtful guy. So when, like, some of you already know that before we started with Dungeon Fog, I had a graphic design agency and a web design agency. So back then I hired Thomas as a web developer, and he joined the team, and he was a real enrichment to the team. So and as he said in the video, he was the one who introduced tabletop playing to us. So he came up with the idea when we were asking for ideas of what we could do as a team event once a month. He said, well, how about a board game? I think Theresa said we would like to play a board game. And then Thomas said, how about tabletop? And we were like, oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that. And so to some extent, I would say without Thomas introducing tabletop to our office game, there would be no Dungeon Fog.
Wow. Well, I thank him for that, because that's absolutely amazing. I love the dogs, and I see there that there is an Instagram for the Office Doggos.
Yeah, there is.
It's posted up in Twitch. If they can get it onto the YouTube chat, that would be great as well. I can't post there. But yes, so there's an Instagram for the Dungeon Doggos. I think that's absolutely lovely. Right, so 2019, it's the year that Deos was launched. Officially.
Well, that the Kickstarter campaign was launched, or that we started the project development.
There we go.
Right.
There we go. And Dungeon Fog turned a year old.
Yes, in October.
It's been quite a year. How do you feel about 2019?
I still try to grasp that it's almost over. Like whenever I check the calendar, I'm like, wait, hasn't it been just August yet? Like, where did the time go? But it was a great year. Like, it was really. It's going to be hard to match such a great year in terms of emotions, success, progress, things that happened. It's hard to pinpoint what excited me most. I think Annie's might have been something that we have won the Silver Annie's Award for Best Digital Aid. The launch of Deus, obviously, having all those new team members join is a really great experience. So I'm like, I think I will take the holidays, the upcoming holidays, just sit down and try to process everything that happened.
It has been a remarkable year. Someone has asked, Frozen Gnomes has asked, what is Deus? Deus is a program. It's an experience. It's a movement. It's a way of life. I think I definitely going to be part of everybody's life who ever makes maps. So Deus, Frozen Gnomes, if you've just joined us for the first time, this is the behind the screens mapping it out, the journey that we're going to be taking to bring Deus, or Project Deus, to life in terms of the software. Now, it is map making software literally on a galactic scale. You can make solar systems, you can make planetary maps. There is so much more that you can find out about it. Actually, where is there an official Deus page with all of the information up on it?
Yeah, yes, there is. It's still in development, but if you go to www.project-deus.com, you will find the previous videos we did there, and we are going to slowly expand that with all the information about what Deus is going to do for you. You can also check out our Kickstarter campaign. A lot of stuff is there as well. Just go to Kickstarter and search for Project Deus, and you will find all the information about it there as well.
Absolutely. I see there that Skyme says, I won't lie, I've just had a quick look over this, and I need this in my life right this second. I couldn't agree with you more. So yes, Roxafarius asked the question, will we still be able to buy a license at a discount from the Kickstarter after January 1, 2020?
So we are currently working on the late pledge system, which means that we were aiming for around Christmas. Now it's going to be obviously after Christmas when the late pledge system, like the pre-order store, comes out. But we are finishing things up. So I expect somewhere mid to end June, we are going to launch the pre-order store where you can then get a license key for Deus. Now that the Kickstarter campaign obviously is over already. So just keep an eye out there. If you go to projectdeus.com, there's a sign up for our newsletter, and obviously we will shout to the world once the pre-order store is out there. So if you want to get notified, just go there, sign up for the newsletter, and wait for the email.
There we go. Lots of questions coming through this evening, which is absolutely brilliant. So our script is going to be on hold whilst we go through these. If you do have a question, follow along with what the guys are doing in Twitch in terms of putting the word question in the front. It makes it easier for little old me to see them. Nyax asked the question, are you planning for moving features in your map tools in the future, such as sort of magic circles, spinning, flowing water, leaves on the trees, bending?
So you're talking
features.
about animated assets.
There we go. Yes.
Yes. It's not going to be part of the system or the program at launch. But we've already established that our rendering tools can deal with animation as well. So the biggest challenge for me in that part is that I want to keep up the quality of what Dungeon Fog does in terms of art styles and graphics, is to find assets that really fit the map style. And I have been in touch with some artists who can do animated assets, And I'm going to use the next year to explore more into that, to see if we can make animated assets that really fit this hand-drawn style that we have currently.
I also would imagine, and this is pure speculation on my behalf, is I can imagine animating a tree is fairly simple because it's a
Yes.
self-contained space. But if you have animated trees and animated spinning circles, I'd also want my water to have a ripple to it or something along those lines. And that's where it would get tricky because that's a non-defined space.
So having animated textures isn't that big of an issue. Again, it's more at that point, it's more a question of the art style and do we like it? Does it fit the general design? I would say the trickier part is if you have, like, if we're thinking as in Dungeon Fog right now, battle map scope, then yeah, sure, you have animated trees. The animation shouldn't be synchronous. They should be asynchronous, so those trees don't move all in the same direction. The big question is how do you move that into regional world maps? Because what kind of animation do you want to see there? So we already know that we want to have moving clouds so that it could have like, as we have in the Kickstarter trailer, and you have kind of this height feeling where some clouds move over your maps. We might have weather effects, something like that. But having all the forests move at your map might look stupid. So this is something that we're going to explore. But again, first of all, we want to make sure that our foundation is solid and that all our biome tools and drawing tools work. And then we can build upon that to add animations in there.
Lovely. Wyamore TV says, will pre-order packs have an alpha access as well?
Yes, that is one of the reasons why we want to bring the pre-order store live before our alpha starts. The alpha is going to kick off by the end of the first quarter next year. So I would expect somewhere around March. And we want to make sure that everyone who pre-orders also gets access to the alpha, because again, I think all of you are excited to see what we have done. And we are happy to have the feedback of alpha testers who are playing around with our system, and the more the merrier.
Right. Well, you heard it here. Let's try this one again. Skirmy says, or asks the question, I did see a mention of a one-time buy key at the platinum level on Kickstarter. However, all of the tiers mentioned a subscription within the reward. Is the one-time buy key more of an alternative to that subscription? Was a little bit confused by that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was confusing because the one-time buy key found into the Kickstarter campaign as part of a stretch goal. So the simplest way to explain this is, excuse me, I got a bit of a cough. The simplest way to explain this is that you will have the option to decide when you pre-order. That you can decide between do you want to keep it as a subscription or convert it into a one-time license key. So you will, at the launch of Deus, you will have pre-ordered Deus, for example. You will then be asked, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep the subscription going, which means access to all the asset packs that are constantly being released, access to our online features and all that stuff? Or would you like to convert that into a one-time license key and use that key as a standalone version without subscription, but then also without all the subscription features that come along?
Okay, I hope you got that. But I have to say, the amount of content that you guys release is just staggering, absolutely staggering. I was just busy playing around with the Far East pack that came out for Dungeon Fog the other day. I know it didn't come out
that's a beautiful
last
one.
week. It came out quite a while ago. I just haven't had an opportunity to use it. It is so pretty, so
Yeah,
pretty.
and there's the community pack is coming up. I just finished the list 2 days ago and handed it over to our artist. And it's like, honestly, just having the community list, I had to condense it and I had to write it down, created about 3, no, possibly 5 new asset packs that we were like, oh, we need to do that. We need to do that. So that's beautiful. The community asset pack is something that we did last year, and we're going to continue. It means that by the end of the year, we ask the community for assets they are missing in the tool, they would love to see, and we take all those wishes, put them together in one community pack, around 100 assets, and release that between Christmas and New Year's Eve. So yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to see what Tony is going to do with all of that. He's our artist.
So, if you don't know what the community pack is all about, on Discord, Till very, very subtly says, "Yeah, give us what you'd like to see at the end of the year," and you just get deluged. I know I certainly send through a request every hour of 50 or 60 prop packs and things. How do you choose?
Oh wow. Gut feeling. Okay. It's like we sit there, we look at all the ideas, we're like, okay, what is, like, for example, the Far East pack that came out, that has been requested at the early stages of Dungeon Fog. We had discussions about that, and some in the community said, well, how about Asian style? And we were like, yeah, we might want to do that. Let's keep that as an idea for a setting. And when I started to research, I found that there are no good Asian styled or Wuxia styled map packs out there. And we're like, oh, that's interesting. Why didn't anyone else do that before? And so we said, okay, there might be a need for that because no one else has that at the moment. So that turned the tides to doing that as a setting instead of just an asset pack. Mm-hmm. Because I saw the question there by a Derp Forgale. Yes, what I just said about the key versus subscription also applies for Kickstarters.
There we go. All right, so Derp Forgale, it does. Yeah, the Asian stuff. I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, I love this, I love that, I love this, I love that. But I now need 500 more things. Because the gateway has kind of been opened. So there we are. Next question. Let's see. No, I think we've done with the questions for now. Anyway, that's on Twitch. On YouTube, I don't see any questions. YouTube just following along. Scott P says, I think that's unfamiliar. I am unfamiliar with Dungeon Fog. It looks amazing. Does it do Fog of War reveal based on character line of sight? That's leading us into somewhere where we will not tread, perhaps?
So the answer is right now is yes, but you can do Fog of War, and you can do it based reveal on the line of sight of your token at the moment. Again, what I constantly keep pointing out, which is important, is Dungeon Fog is a map making tool and not a virtual tabletop. So there is a viewer option there to digitally preview and present the map to your players, but it's not there as a full-fledged VTT with dice mechanics and character sheets and stuff like that, which doesn't mean that it might come later down the road.
There we go. Scott P says, thank you. I need this program. The answer is yes. Yes, you do. I see there YouTube. I'm going to admonish you guys on YouTube. Twitch guys have got it down pat. They're asking questions with the word question in the front of their question. Please put that in the front. It makes it so much easier for me to keep track. It really does. So there are some questions from YouTube. Josh Snyder says, when are you aiming for beta?
Once the alpha is finished. So, we have a timeline. Now, as programmers, we know that timelines only exist as long as you hit the first roadblock, and then you're like, oh my god. We are aiming for beta by the end of next year. that's what we're going for. We would like to announce our beta, at least the closed beta, in around Spiel next year, which is by the end of October. But again, with just having started programming, it might need to be shifted back a little bit.
There we go. So just to follow up on that, Ombre Loop says, I heard alpha was Q4 2020. That's not correct.
No, that's not correct. We have Alpha 1 is Q1, so about 3 months from now. If everything works out as we hope, then in summer, like end of Q2, we would like to go into Alpha 2, second wave Alpha. And between fall and winter, we would like to go into the closed beta. But again, I'm very cautious about things like that, saying it before we have programmed the stuff. There are some very challenging things that we need to tackle, like the biome tool. So let's assume that we hit off our first quarter next year with the alpha, and then between 4 to 6 months in development time for each step, there's going to be an alpha second wave and closed beta. And then we remain in closed beta until we are sure that we are ready for open beta and then launch. So that's the roadmap.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. Now, you were mentioning something in there that I wanted to ask you about, but oh, yes. There's a reason why we're making all these videos, is so that you can keep track of exactly when things are going to come out. So we're going to be talking about if there are any roadblocks, if there are any delays.
Exactly.
You'll hear about them here on the show. So remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button or the goblin bell button, the bell on YouTube if you're on YouTube. And so, yes, you can follow along. Each month this show comes out where we talk about stuff and you will hear what is going on from the horse's mouth, basically. So there's another question here. Patrick Blouin says, is adding your own assets, symbol sets and things, an option?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you can upload. You can already do that in Dungeon Fog, and we will not abandon that for Deus. So you can upload all your custom stuff that you probably have bought somewhere else or designed yourself. And use it on the maps. There are some restrictions when it comes to sharing those maps because we don't want to support piracy. But as long as you're using the maps for yourself, you can upload whatever you like.
There we go. Back to the Twitch chat. Skirmy says, now there's some mathematics in here, so you're going to have to forgive me because maths is not a strong point. So key equals baseline assets minus subscription. Oh no, wait. So key.
Oh yeah, I got the I got the question.
Yeah, you see,
so if you have a one-time key like the standalone application key, you get all the basic assets. We do have a marketplace, which means you can buy additional assets. Whereas if you would have had a subscription, all those assets would have been included in the subscription. So that is one of the advantages of having a subscription, means that you get access to the assets that we monthly release, and they are part of your subscription. And a bit after they have been released to the subscribers, they will go into the marketplace and you can buy them there as well.
Lovely, and I'm so glad that you said monthly subscription and not monthly subscription, that it's monthly assets coming out, because I think that's really important, and it's really true. I think that's the other thing, is that your track record is just fantastic. So there are more questions.
Sorry, yes, yeah. Murium, I saw the question. Yes, there's going to be a free tier.
Wait, what was the question? Because some other people didn't see it.
The question was, is there going to be a free tier for Deus? And the answer is yes.
Ah, there we go. Lovely. Okay.
We're going to have a demo that you can download and use, and you will be able to create, as with Dungeon Fork, where you can create one map. You can use that in Deus as well. The details of how we're going to do that aren't really fleshed out yet, but we know that we want to do a free version as well.
All right. So just to remind you, although we are answering questions, we do have a lot of other stuff planned in today's show. If you are a Dungeon Fog user, we're going to be looking at some tips and tricks, I suppose, towards the end of the show on how we make some maps and how we make quite different ones. But for now, we're still going through questions, and there are quite a few of them coming through. Josh... Josh,
yeah, try again.
Yes, Josh Snyder asked the question, and the reason why I'm stumbling over this is because I read it before I started reading it. How does Deus stack against Wonderdraft and Incarnate? How does it stack?
So you mean in terms of what are the advantages?
Which one's better?
I would say, in a very humble way, check it out and find out yourself, make your own opinion on that, because I think a lot of people are used to tools and they like the tools they're using. We will present new options, new ideas of how you could create maps. We have thought a lot about efficiency, how you could create giant regions with just a few brush strokes instead of clicking and placing everything. We are working on a vector-based model, which means that we are kind of getting close to the GIS data model system that like GPS tools use. So there's a lot, we spend a lot of thought on scalability. But I would say, go for the alpha, go for the open beta, wait until our demo is out there and make your own opinion, because who would I be to say that we are better? It's up to you to decide.
Well, I know who I'd be, and I'd be someone who's reviewed all of those products and used them and supported all of them as well. On my YouTube channel, How to Be a Great GM, I used to be fervently behind Incarnate. I still am as a regional map creator. Incarnate was absolutely brilliant at that. If you needed to do a province where you had a town and it was okay for it to be a little bit more random than perhaps one might like, Incarnate's beautiful, and I have many of their maps that I have incorporated into my own material, my own books, online material and such as that. I used Wonderdraft the other day to generate a gigantic map for people that needed it, and it's very, very good at creating world maps. Deus brings it all together, and from the massive scale of solar systems right the way through world maps, right the way through region maps, into battle maps. So it really is just a combination of everything. So if it does everything that those other programs do as well as they do it, which I have every confidence it will, it's basically all of them under one roof. And that allows for seamless integration, which I think is a really good place to start. There's a reason why I'm on the show. It's because I really want this program, because it is going to do all of that sort of stuff. So there we are. But again, I think it is horses for courses. Some people like to draw maps by hand. So...
Yeah. I also think that it might be even a case where you use both tools, because
Yes.
you can create, if you prefer Wonderdraft or Incarnate, you can create your maps there, you can export them, and you can import them in Deus. So you are able to import maps that you've created somewhere else and use them for the pin location system, where you can link the region to a city map. You might like our city map tools better, so you create city maps in Deus, stuff like that. So I think there are going to be a lot of options. Because I saw the question there, a lambent eye, I was very surprised when I checked the features list in terms of requirements. And yes, I saw that Andy, who is our lead developer, put digital pen and drawing support, drawing tablet support onto the list of requirements to the rendering. So hopefully, yes, it's untested. It's just an item on the list, but it's there.
I'm going to have to ban you from reading questions, because you don't read the question first. You just answer. So
my God,
else,
I'm
no one
sorry.
else. No. So the question that Till was answering is: will there be digital pen or drawing tablet support? Apparently, yes, there will be. Thanks, A. Lambert. So there we are. Yes, there will be digital pen support. Right. Well, we've come over to Twitch now, since that's where we are. Oracalantis says, if you have a subscription to Deos, will have more assets. Yes, there are going to be more assets. You're talking about a monthly release of assets.
Yes. So yes, if you have a subscription, each month there will be new asset packs released. That think a little bit about us as Netflix. Like you have a Netflix subscription, but new series and new shows are coming out in our case, on a monthly basis, and you just have access to them. They are at your disposal.
Another question here is from A. Lambert I. Are maps required to be marked as not safe for work if they contain mature assets? For example, a pile of corpses or something.
What are you doing at work?
There are many reasons why one might be making maps whilst at work. Many reasons.
I know. Okay, it's cheating because that's what I do with my work. But I know, but like, you shouldn't do maps at work at all. So if someone glimpses across your shoulder and there are corpses on the screen, I think that is the least of your problems, isn't it? So you have a tag system, so you can tag maps, and you might want to tag them as not safe for work.
There you go. So you can indeed tag them if you so choose. If you share a map, do the tags go along with it? So if you have tagged it as not safe for work or PG-13?
Yes, you can. Those tags go along into our what we call a public library, and we have never thought about that, but we might add a filter where you say, please show only those who are tagged with safe for work.
There we go.
Something like that.
Absolutely. I think that rounds out for No, there's still a few questions. Right, Patrick Bluon asks another question. To maintain the same art format within Dungeon Fog, is it possible to request personalized assets from your team? Is there a way that we can bribe you to make, a dragon skeleton, for example? I don't know. I mean, where that prop came from, it's just where did that come from? I don't know. Dragon skeleton. Sorry, answer the question. Sorry.
Actually, we have been thinking about that. We did something similar on the Kickstarter campaign where we said you could be a My World backer, and we would create a setting specifically for you. I think we're going to talk about one of our My World backers today. So the idea has been flowing around, and we have been thinking about that. Maybe that is something that we can add into the shop where you can request personal assets. It would be something that you request as at least as a setting or an asset pack. So somewhere between 25 and 100, because I think our artist wouldn't be very happy if he would have to do a single asset. So it might be something where you request a bundle.
There we are. Okay, Evgeny Prilyevici, I think. I don't know. I tried. If it's not too early to ask, I'm interested in what are the possible map sizes and limits. Do we know yet?
Okay. So there is this. I have a number in terms of kilometers that the map could take in a 1-to-1 map system, like a 1-to-1 ratio of the map. It's such a weird number, it's such a scary one that I will not believe it until I've heard it, I've seen it. But our lead developer Andy says that the biggest map you could create in Deus in terms of what the database can do and what the technicality allows would be 4 times Earth to Sun. And that's like
4 AUs. Is that?
Yeah. And that would be the size of a map that you can do.
It's a pretty big map. Challenge accepted. I like it. I'll be drawing a map for the next 20 years.
It's like, I think that is more technical theory versus practical testing and results. But they're going to be, if you've played around with Dungeon Fog, you know that you can do rather big maps. At some point, your computer and your hardware limits you. But Deus will be desktop based, so that means that you can run it on Windows or Mac or Linux, because those 3 systems we are supporting. Wink, I saw the question. And and depending on what your system setup is, you can use that. The support, the system, the hardware will be able to support bigger maps depending on the RAM and the graphics card you're running.
I think also, just to drive on that, the largest map I've made in Dungeon Fog. You guys had. I did it when you printed it out. It was 6 foot by 6 foot.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, 2 meters by 2 meters, and that's on a 1 inch grid. That was a big arena. That was a really, really big arena, and yes, that I think that pushed a lot of limits there. Packkill, we're actually running out of time here. There's so many questions. It's wonderful. Packklee asks, is or will there be an annotation tool for adding notes directly onto the battle map and not in the GM notes?
Yes. So our GM notes were, well, it was our concept when we started, because Dungeon Fog obviously started here in my brain, and I was like, okay, we need a GM notes tool system. And with 2.5 years almost experience now with how the GM notes are used and how practical they are, we've realized that we want to rework that system. And that means that we are going to do more of a map-based, like a pin and open up a little overlay where you can edit the notes system, instead of having a separate page where you can write down everything. Then it's just a question of how do you export it. And if you followed our Kickstarter campaign, we have teamed up with GM Binder, and we are going to work on integrations with them, which means that whatever notes you are creating in Deus, you will be somehow able to export them or hand them over to GM Binder to create your design notes as a PDF. Whereas if you're just using them in Deus, you will be able to use them there. And also, most importantly, it is directly integrated into World Anvil, which means that you can, whatever you do, all the articles you write in World Anvil, you have them available in Deus. And the other way around, everything you do on the map, including notes, will be handed over to World Anvil to create articles out of that. So we spend a lot of thinking on how to do that and how to make story writers and map makers all the same happy.
Lots of integration. Okay, we've only got 11 minutes left, and we've got still quite a lot to go through. One of the things that we are going to just look at very quickly, because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. There is someone who has an opportunity for all of us to benefit. Till, let's talk about this.
Yes. Denoa is by Hammerdog Games. And Hammerdog Games was one of our My World sponsors, which meant that they supported us at the highest tier on Kickstarter. So we are going to make a full world setting for them, including the maps and all the stuff and cities and battle maps in there for their new world, Denoa. Now, Denoa is in the preparations, and I think it's only a few weeks left before they go to Kickstarter. And they are going to release their world-setting Denoa on Kickstarter on January the 1st, 2020. And along with that, they said, well, they would like to do a little challenge there, or a competition. And that means that if they reach 2020 subscribers to their newsletter, to their notify me that the Kickstarter is out newsletter, they will release all the assets, everything that we do for them, as a free setting to all Deus users. So it's going to be available for all of you if they reach the 2020 subscribers. So my question to all of you would be, have you already signed up? Go, do that. Sign up for the newsletter and help us unlock that for all of our users.
Yes, sign up, please. Please sign up. I do the link. Hopefully, I see we've got a couple people from Dungeon Fog in the chat. Can you share that link up? I think it's Denoa/rpg.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, Denoa minus or hyphen or whatever you say. Denoa-rpg.com.
There we go. All right, there. It's a very interesting thing that they're proposing, a living world 5th edition setting. It's going to evolve over time. You will be able to join in if you're part of the Kickstarter, and of course they'll be utilizing all of the wonderful programs that we have come to love. And so yeah, go and check them out. Lots of very interesting ideas. Okay, so then we have another question. I
don't hear and me.
I beg your
Chat?
pardon?
Oh, my internet came back. Sorry. It was like everything was frozen.
Oh, did you temporarily? I just thought that you'd kind of locked yourself away in terror. Yes, it is Denoa-rpg.com, or you can find them on Facebook or Twitter at Hammerdog Games. That's Hammerdog Games, one word. So go and have a look for that. Till, you've already spoken to us a little bit about the assets that are hopefully going to be coming out fairly soon. Zach Hunt 359 on Twitch. Congratulations, you're the first person to post up that link successfully. So thank you very much for that, Zach Hunt, helping us to unlock the assets of Denoa to make our lives just that much better. I think just waiting for that link in YouTube so you can go and get it. We wanted to talk a little bit about some map making on today's show. We've got 7 minutes.
Yeah, I would say we can do a different video on map making. I would suggest, because we owe our users from last stream still the preview of the interface.
There we go.
My internet is hicking up again. I hope
it's fated.
It's fated.
Okay, so I'm going to take us there right now. We're looking at the user interface. Quickly tell us, what are we looking at?
So, what you're currently looking at is a mock-up that we are currently working on, which is the landing page. Like when you open the application, when you open it on your PC or your Mac, then this is what you're going to see. So the first thing you're going to see is a little dashboard where you can see all the news, where you can see the latest maps that you've been working on, and where you can have your main navigation that brings you to your dashboard, obviously your library. I think you can click on, there. When you click, you see the highlighted sections that you can click on. There you go. So this is the library. If you click again, you will see that you can switch between list mode. Yeah, you can mouse over stuff. You can click on the list mode. So there's a full file browser system in there. And again, all of this is still work in progress because we're still refining the designs here. But if you click on create a new map, there you subfolders and stuff, there you will be able to create your new world map. And I think that is what we missed out in the last stream, is how is the interface for the new editor looking. And when you click there on create, there you go. that's how the new interface is going to look like. So you're going to have a minimap on the left side. We're calling the left side the utility bar. So all the utility informations like layers, minimap, possibly other things in there are going to be on that side. And on the right side, you're going to have the toolbar section. So everything that is related to tools. If you click on the landmass tool, there you go, you will see that you have all the options to draw and create a landmass. I think you can collapse that on that screen. If you click there. The idea behind that is that we're still working on ways to make it more user-friendly for beginners. So we're not going to show you all the options, but we're going to show you the relevant options. And if you want to go into detail, then later down the road, you will be able to expand the advanced options and adjust almost everything. Again, all of that is vector-based, which means that you can manipulate all of that. You can scale it, shift it, move it, split it, subtract it, combine it, all of that stuff. And our first alpha will focus on the landmass tools as well as some first prop placement so that you can create landmasses, you can test the tool, and you can start to decorate it with a basic set of assets. I want to point out that something that is also important or interesting on that screen is if you look to the lower right, you will see that you have workspaces, which means that you can switch between workspaces while working on your map. So you will be able to create the region, zoom in, switch to the city tools, create the city there, zoom out, and so on and so forth. I had the opportunity when I was at Dragonmeet, I had the opportunity to get all this design into a feedback loop with World Anvil. So we already know that there is going to be a fifth workspace down there, which is called the information layer. So all the things that you would like to add to an information layer, like pins, political regions, all that stuff will be there as tools. And now what we are currently doing, what Bodhi is doing right now, is he's refining all of that, and we are constantly playing that back and forth and what we call paper testing that until it reaches a state where Jonas, our user interface developer, is ready to take it over and implement it into our current build. And I really hope that in our next stream, possibly not the next stream, but the one afterwards, so in February, we will be able to do some live testing here on the stream and throw a look at the first prototypes.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, other things to bear in mind is that this is demo stuff. So you know the continents won't necessarily look like this.
The tool that Bodhi is using here is called Sketch, which is a user interface mockup tool, which helps us to allow to create the user interface and define all the elements, like the material design elements that are used to create that and hand that over to the programmer. So right now, what you're looking at here is just mockups,
and not final art at all either.
No, not final art at all as well. Well, it's getting closer. We already had a few iterations on the design, and I really like the appeal that it has right now. But still, I'm pretty sure that there are going to be changes along the road once we see it and feel it as a real tool, as an interactive tool, not just mockups.
There we go. I can't wait for that either. Absolutely cannot wait for that. Okay, so where are we now? Gurmy says, come payday, I'll be diving into the Kickstarter and I eagerly await future updates. There we go. Thank you for that, Skirmy. Have a great lunch or end of lunch as far as that message is concerned. Pak Klee says, a very Merry Christmas to the entire Deos team and the community, and to you too. But Bunsky asked the question, will the dashboard be customizable to what areas you want to see when you use it?
Yes, so I forgot to mention there are going to be several things that are customizable. First of all, in the editor, we said that left is the utility bar and right is the toolbar. I think we're going to give you the option to flip that. So that's something that you can decide. Where do you want to have those elements? In regards to the dashboard, not at the start, because I think that is very like, that's not a vital thing. You can decide that you can design your dashboard yourself, but we've already created all those elements in a way that they can be flippable, and that you might want to add favorites or something like my favorite map, like create a favorite bar where you can add maps to that list to organize your work in a better way. So the answer is yes, but not at the beginning.
Just not yet. All right. I think that makes sense. That's why we're on this journey. Last question for the evening, and then we're going to call it. Tillazy says, can we make maps with notes attached to places and things that are optionally visible to players on World Anvil then? That's a lot of integration.
So I had the opportunity to talk to Dimi about that, and he and Andy have already created a requirement document for the API. And as far as I remember, the answer is yes, because we hand over everything in a way that you can flag the rights, like you have a rights management on maps, and this rights management is connected to the rights management in World Anvil, or you have to connect or create those rights yourself. However, you will be able to create elements on a map that are restricted only to rights on World Anvil.
Looking better and better and better every day. That's it. It's our last stream for 2019. The next one will be in 2020. Can you believe it? So fast goes the year. It's absolutely crazy. And the date for January, I've forgotten to write it down here. I think it's the 24th of January. Unless I'm mistaken. I think I'm mistaken.
I don't know either.
I'm usually mistaken.
Yeah,
we'll post it up, so look out for that. It's the 29th of January, as a matter of... sorry, I'm in Japan time. 28th of January, 2020 is the next show, I believe. Japan's
depending on
ahead,
depending on if you are already moving to the UK or not.
That's right.
It might be depending on your availability. We might shift it 1 week up front or 1 or 2 weeks back.
That's right. Watch
but
Discord,
our
Twitter.
aim was somewhere around the end of January.
That's right.
Watch Discord. Come back here. I will update the screen, the waiting screen on Twitch,
and YouTube,
and Twitter and everything. Just look for something that I'm shouting into the world.
Absolutely. We'll let you know one way or another. We really appreciate all of your questions tonight. And Till, thank you for being on the show and answering all of those wonderful, wonderful, wonderful questions.
Thank you all for those great questions. Last stream, it was not that question intense. And I'm so happy because I love answering your questions. All I can say is, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thank you all for the support so far. And see you all in the next year.
There we go. Nothing more for me to say except happy map making. Goodbye.
Happy map making. Bye.